Hey guys, UC here from iTradePrice. It is June 11th, Saturday around 10:30 Eastern night. So let's get started and review some of the charts that we follow and trade. Okay, so like always, we always like to start with the weekly view. So this is a chart of QQQ. So I will just kind of, oh, sorry, it's a monthly chart of QQQ, right? It's a monthly view. So we had this breakdown since the past few months. This was the first bottom wick that we saw in a while. And then the next month opened up sort of in the midway. But we couldn't really see any upside move above that. And since that, we have been just kind of selling off, right? Bearish right now, lower lows, lower highs, all that stuff. In a weekly view, it does seem to give some sort of a bearish, flag pattern, right? With this being the flag here. Again, in the weekly time frame, we had all these past few weeks of lower lows and lower highs. And just recently, the price started moving back up as it bounced from the channel support, but we failed to see any upside follow through, right? So this was the bullish bar, but we never saw any upside follow through above that. In fact, this 315.1 became the resistance area, as that was some sort of a support before. So and then we just kind of sold off and closed towards the 4 or 5 week low range of the monthly low range. You can just say that, right? So we'll see how it behaves next week. But if you drill down to a daily view, we had this whole congestion zone where the price was trying to discover its path, but couldn't really kind of go anywhere. It just, it was getting these bullish bars, but wasn't seeing any upside follow through above 315.1, right? And then we had this support level, right, around 302.3 or 303 number. And then once it broke down on Thursday, and then on Friday, actually, we saw a gap down and, no really meaningful effort from market participants to take it back up or try to fill the gap or anything like that. It opened weak and it stayed weak and it closed weak, right? So the market is still, dominated by sellers, and anytime and any chance they get to see a rally, we, start seeing a new wave of sellers coming into the market. Okay. All right, let's look at SPX. Should be a similar view. Again, let's go into a weekly chart similar to that, right? Lower lows, lower highs. This 441.80 had the resistance since the past 3 weeks. Just closed towards the low end of its recent range. No bottom wick, which means no pressure from the buyers or anything, and just kind of closed towards the dead low of the week. And even in the daily chart, gap down move, bearish trend bars. So still strength in selling, right? So the last time we traded in this zone was like right around here, and we had these bottom wicks or not so bearish bars. But now we are closed. We closed pretty much at the very low end of this recent range, and now we'll see if we get any weak bullish bar, and then it gives us a good setup to go back down, break this whole 38.50 zone, or if you want to try back up and try to fill the gap on the upside that we have. We'll see how it goes, but that's how it is. Okay, Amazon. Again, like to start with the weekly view. Again, no help, from the split. We did see a little bit of move to the upside before the actual split, as sort of a, just an anticipation of a move after the split, but we really didn't see that. And in fact, we have this bearish engulfing bar, right, where the open of the current week, the previous week, was above its previous week high, right, or actually even the close, but then it closed below the low end of its previous week. So pretty weak, right? We'll see if it fails to give any downside follow through. or if it, kind of bounces back from this 102.5, that's where we had these multiple touch points where the stock has previously bounced from. But to really lean bullish in this name or start seeing some upside moves, let's look into a daily view, right? So you can see this 115.8 level. That was a pretty strong resistance, or has acted as resistance and support previously, right? This was support right here. Once it broke down, this level exactly became its resistance. As it touched that, went back down, and then we broke out above that. We stopped there on Thursday, right? And then we gapped down, and now, just kind of below that level. So to really start feeling a little bit neutral to bullish, really need to be back above 116, I think. Otherwise, this 102.5 seems to be a logical next sort of a level where the price wants to gravitate towards. All right. Okay. Apple. Similar view in the weekly bar, right? All the weekly views are sort of like that, where you have this bullish week and then no follow through, and then the down week to close it towards the low end of the week range. So all similar look and feel charts, gap down, bearish trend bar. So the pressure remains to the downside. Now we closed right where we had been bouncing in Apple, right, all this time. So we closed right there. We'll see if we get any indecisive sort of a looking bar with bottom and top wick, and then we go down, or if we just want to gap down or something. But to start feeling bullish, I really want to see price get back above this downtrend line, and then we can see if we want to target 151.8, and then we'll see if we want to go higher. But really need to get above this downtrend line, I think, in my opinion, to start feeling aggressively on the bullish side. Yes, we can have bounces and stuff, but to start playing larger sizes on the bullish side. Tesla. Actually not bad, right? Relatively speaking, where all the weekly bars close towards the low end of their 4 or 5 week range, right? We have all the closures like around here. Tesla actually closed, relatively better towards the midpoint of that range, right? But still a lower low, a lower high, more pressure on the downside, no bullish follow through to the this sort of a bullish pattern that we saw, right? This bullish pattern, right? It's called bullish piercing, right? Where you close above the half point of this bearish bar, but we fail to see any follow through. Okay, in a daily view, let's look at that. We are holding, sort of not, I would say, above 700, but after market we are above 700, right? Even we closed below that on Friday, based on the split news. But I would think it really need to get above, I would say, 735, right? If I drill down to, let's say, an hourly view, you can see something like, you can even draw a trend line like this. But really need to get above this previous swing high, right? On Friday, try to get back up above 730, 735. Couldn't do it. Made a lower high, and then kind of traded down. So the support 683 on the upside. Really need to see above 735, and then take out this trend line to target 793 or 760 even before that, right? So we'll see. But if it breaks down 690, 683 level, then definitely we have lower prices ahead that it wants to target, right? But relatively speaking, it was, on Friday at least, it was a better looking name, right? Okay, Square. Interesting name, but really thought that we would get above this recent range it was trading in, under 94, right? We have this few weeks where it has tried to get above 94 but couldn't really do that, right? Even we got these inside weeks, but bottom wicks, lower highs, all that stuff, but then it just kind of broke down with the rest of the market. On a daily view like this, it broke down below this channel line, right? That was the line that bulls were trying to hold, but we had this top wick right from the downtrend line. We saw a big move down that broke the channel, and then a little bit of follow through. So good for bears, good for shorting this name, or people who were shorting. So to start feeling bullish on this name again, nothing right now. I would like to see at least a day or two worth of bullish bars or not so bearish bars to start seeing some setup. Just trying to buy it or you know, just because that we're thinking that it would bounce is not a good strategy, right? Right now the pressure remains down, so we'll just kind of go with that view. NVDA, daily, again weekly view, pretty similar to other charts that we are looking at, right? We see this 3-bar pattern everywhere, right? This is a bearish pattern by itself because we have this bullish bar, failure, downside follow through, right? And now we'll see if it wants to break down further. So by itself, this is a bearish pattern in a weekly time frame, right? On a higher time frame. Here's a daily view. We were consolidating here under 195, 196, right? Couldn't really get above this bullish bar. We had all these inside days congested, right, where the market was just waiting for the CPI numbers, and once we got that, it just kind of lost its upside momentum, whatever it had. And on a lower time frame, if you see, it did seem like sort of an head and shoulder, right? You can see this was, oops, let me click my tool. So this was the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, you know, this being the neckline, and we got the neckline breakout on Friday, right? It just kind of lost its bearing at 181, right? 181 was the number that we wanted to be bearish under, right? So if you remember the levels, let me bring that. I've adjusted them for now, but 181 was the level we were trying to see that if bulls can hold it. If not, we were, you know, kind of bearish on this name, and it played out nicely like that. Okay, let's look at a couple of more. Which one? Microsoft. Okay, and then actually we'll look at Meta as well. I think it is moving nicely these days. Microsoft, controlled move down, right? Not too aggressively bearish, but of course still in a downtrend, right? Overall, so 293 was the resistance in the you know, month or so ago. We had multiple touch points, and similarly now 277, 278 seems to be the you know, latest swing high where we see the price get rejected. So unless or until we get above that, it's hard to be aggressively bullish. Yes, you can have bounces and stuff, but you know, to play on the long side, really need to get above this one, and then, you know, kind of change the whole direction by going above this channel to the upside. On the downside, in a daily view, again similarly, gap down Friday, couldn't really hold anything on the upside, closed towards the low end of the day and the week, multi you know, weeks, I would say, because that's where all these closures or bounces we have seen in the past. So if we don't see any meaningful bounce early next week, you know, the path to the least resistance remains down, where 246 is the first stop, and then 238 sort of the next number to look for, where we have the channel bottom here as well. If I give you like a bigger view, so here's the channel bottom that it kind of can move towards, right? So look for that. Meta, previously known as Facebook, again a lot weaker than other names because it closed towards the low end of its recent weeks, right? And just not any green bar, right? Top wicks, even with this bottom wick couple of weeks ago, right here, we did not see any upside follow through to get it above 202. So 200 to 202, definitely a resistance zone, and then this down trend line, right? We really need to get above that to target 224 once we are above that 200 psychological mark, or even 202. But until that happens, definitely pressure is on the downside. The daily view here was the sort of the mini uptrend line, right, that bulls were kind of holding, and then once we broke down below that, we got a nice follow through to the downside, and now giving up 175 definitely targets. The first number to look for on the downside is 169. Okay, let's look at Google. Let's look at the weekly chart of Google. Bearish engulfing, definitely, right, where you have have the body of the current week is totally engulfing the previous week's body and it closed towards the low end. We'll see if it wants to go downside follow through or some sort of a indecision bar, and then we'll see if it wants to go back the following week. But for right now, definitely again pressure remains to the downside. The move on Friday, yes, definitely gap down, no upside move at all, but it just feels like it held overall okay, even with the down day like that, with a little bit of bottom wick and a not so bearish trend bar, type bar. So for example, if the bar was something like this, right, that would have meant aggressive selling. But this one, we have had some buyers show up towards the end. Nothing meaningful, nothing to get excited for the bulls, but just that it was relatively better name, right, compared to some of the other names that we have seen so far. So yeah, that was a quick and dirty overview of this current week. So right now, overall, again, things just get sold off anytime we see any big bounces. No bounces are holding. So unless we start seeing some higher lows in the weekly chart, right, higher highs in the weekly chart, where we see some series of weeks like that, it's hard to be aggressively bullish at all, right? So the trend heavily remains on the downside, inflation numbers, all that stuff. So unless there's more clarity on that side, I think market just tries to bounce and then just loses its footing, and then just kind of gives up. All right. Okay, guys, have a good rest of your weekend. Talk to you guys on Monday morning. All right. Bye-bye.